Junta. This is the moment.
Obama is Hitler's grandson. Barry Obama Hitler. Barry is Hitler's grandson. His aunts are Angela Merkel, Theresa May, and Dahlia Grabowskite. The swamp is deep from a friend on FB. Post of interesting reveal. Came from a Navy intel. We did not win World War II. We lost to the Nazis. They withdrew to reformulate and infiltrate worldwide. Hitler did not die in a bunker in 1944. That was his butler, who was also his body double. He escaped to Argentina along with other Secret Service, where he lived a long life, dying in 1957 in a car accident. Eva Braun went with him, and their daughter, who was born in 1942. While in Argentina, Eva and Adolf had 3 more daughters who was taken to Germany to be raised in the motherland. Their names are Angela, Teresa, and Dahlia. More on this later. Other Nazis fled to Antarctica, where they had a base beneath the ice. The Nazis had ships, we would label them UFOs, that could fly from pole to pole in less than 30 minutes. Many of the Nazi scientists were brought to the US, given fake names, and hired by the government to bring their technology to the US. The US figured it was better to have them than the Russians. This was called Operation Paperclip. After Hitler died in Argentina in 1957, Eva Braun changed her name to Madeleine Lee Payne and took their daughter and moved to the US. She married Stanley Dunham, and her name became Madeline Dunham, and became Stanley and Dunham. Anna Braun, Eva's daughter, was 19 when she became pregnant by a Kenyan national named Barack Obama. She moved to Kenya and gave birth to her son Barry. In time, she realized that the man she married was already married with children, and she returned with her son to America. Shortly after her return to America, she married Lolo Soretoro and had a second child, a daughter, Maya. Further, Hitler was a Rothschild. His mother was Clara Palsy, who was employed as a maid in the Austrian home of Solomon Meyer Rothschild, where she became pregnant by him. She returned to Germany to give birth to Adolf and later married Louis Skipperberger, who changed his name to Hitler. The bloodlines of the Illuminati are very, very important to the Illuminati, and they farm out their children or have illegitimate children to spread their bloodlines far and wide. Enter Barry Soretoro. If you've been tracking me so far, your jaw should be on the ground. Let me make it clear for you. Barry Soretoro equals Barry Barack Obama, which equals Barry Hitler, Hitler's grandson, which equals Rothschild by blood. This might explain why his aunt, Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, kissed him and looked at him so lovingly on a visit there. His other 2 aunts are Theresa May, former Prime Minister of the UK, and Dahlia Grabowskite, the President of Lithuania. Hitler's plan for a Third Reich has morphed into today's Fourth Reich, and his offspring has been placed in high-level positions in strategic countries to further the Illuminati's cause of the NWO equals Nazi New World Order, which is what Trump is taking down. Barack was illegitimate president on so many levels. I haven't even touched on his homosexuality or his pedophilia. That is another post. This is what's going down. This is just a sliver of Obamagate. Are you awake yet? Knowledge is power. Thank you, David Rosenbaum. Conspiracy Daily Update. Give thanks.
And now to business. Sit down, gentlemen, please. The task before you is the most important operation that the Comrades Organization has ever undertaken. It is the vital link in a program to which I and your leaders have devoted many years of enormous effort. Your success on this project carries with it the hope and destiny of the Aryan race. And that is not an exaggeration, but the literal truth. It is a holy mission, gentlemen. You should consider yourselves highly honored to have been chosen to perform it. Colonel, do you fully understand what it is that I have done? I, the outlaw, the so-called war criminal, right here, this godforsaken place, I have created a scientific miracle. I have turned the whole world into a laboratory. Our laboratory. Talk to me about 6 men. I would send out 6 more if they were caught, and 6 more, and 6 more until the task was done.
I agree, Doctor. I agree.
It's impossible, of course.
Excuse me, Doctor, but what is impossible? What is impossible, Doctor?
Mononuclear reproduction.
Oh, Doctor.
Cloning. What if I were to tell you that I could take a scraping of skin from your finger and create another Ezra Lieberman?
I would tell you not to waste your time or my finger.
Anyway, that is cloning. It was first done with plants. A cutting taken from a plant and transplanted grew to be the exact duplicate of the donor plant. Now we are doing the same thing with laboratory animals.
You mean you can produce an animal from itself?
We take the unfertilized egg of an ovulating female and destroy all of its genes and chromosomes. We then implant the nucleus of the donor cell, which could be taken from a blood sample or even a skin scraping. That cell, with its genetic material intact, eventually becomes an embryo and is born as a living creature.
Without parents?
Well, it has no father because the egg was never fertilized, no mother because its genetic code comes from another being. Can you follow that?
And this creature is an exact duplicate of itself? Oh, Doctor, how can that be?
Come along. Our experiments began with the simplest of animals, shrimps and frogs. Animals in which the female's eggs are fertilized externally. Then we moved on to mammals. We tried several laboratory animals and found the rabbit most convenient. I had to develop instruments which could accomplish the operation, and a whole micro-injection system. I'll show you how it's done. Here we are removing the eggs of a white rabbit from the fallopian tubes. Now, you see the egg under a microscope. I've brought the point of an ordinary sewing needle into view to give an idea of size.
They are that small?
Most mammal eggs are about that size.
Including human eggs?
Yes. The next step is to destroy the egg nucleus with ultraviolet light so that none of its genetic makeup remains. Now, you see an egg from a white rabbit ready to be injected with the blood cell from a black rabbit donor. With the injection pipette, one of the blood cells is sucked up and then injected into the egg. After a few hours, the eggs in culture divide and are ready to be put back into the female. There they grow into embryos, which in a month's time, the normal gestation period, they will become baby rabbits. In this instance, a black litter from a white mother and their black color proves that they have been cloned from the blood cell of a black rabbit.
But isn't it difficult to get the egg back into the female?
Transferring the eggs isn't a problem. We do that all the time with laboratory animals. The really tricky part is the microsurgery. Getting the donor cell into the egg. You're lucky if 1 in 10 survives.
And this can be done with humans?
If the surgical technique were precise enough.
It's monstrous, doctor.
Why? Wouldn't you want to live in a world full of Mozarts and Picassos? Of course, it's only a dream. Not only would you have to reproduce the genetic code of the donor, but the environmental background as well. Is Mengele trying to reproduce himself?
No. He has brown eyes and he comes from a very wealthy family.
Let's examine the family background of the donor. Father is 65 years old, a civil servant. The mother is 42, you said. She dotes on the child. Boy. The boy is pale, dark hair, blue eyes, spoiled. Right? Now, Mengele would certainly know every social and environmental detail would have to be reproduced. Thus, if the parents were divorced when the boy was 10, this would have to be arranged.
Dr. Brückner, the one who is cloned, the donor, he has to be alive, doesn't he?
Not necessarily. Individual cells taken from a donor can be preserved indefinitely. With a sample of Mozart's blood and a woman, someone with the skill and the equipment could breed a few hundred baby Mozarts. My God, if it's really been done, what I'd give to see one of those boys. Herr Liebermann! Herr Liebermann.
Not Mozart, doctor. Not Picasso. Not a genius who would enrich the world, but a lonely little boy with a domineering father, a customs officer who was 52 when he was born, and an affectionate, doting mother who was 29. The father died at 65, when the boy was merely 14. Adolf Hitler.
One of these things is not like the others. One of these things doesn't belong. Can you tell which thing is not like the other by the time I finish this song?
Reproduction.